Bullshit.
How trustworthy are you? It's the No Bullshit Marketing Show. I'm Dave Mastovich, CEO and founder of Massolutions, the world's only no bullshit marketing firm. Met today with a CEO mastermind group to help them leverage the power of storytelling and better communicate with all of their many target audiences. There was a common thread, a common theme from this particular group of chief executives across industries and size of company. So we were getting a good cross-section of companies, and they were sharing a common problem or challenge. And it related to how they can best communicate with their team. I told them that 58% of employees would rather trust a stranger than their boss. That statistic often gets people taken aback. Then I followed up with 63% feel that their productivity suffers because of the quality or lack thereof of communication up, down, and across the organization. I told them these statistics partly to emphasize how big the chasm is, but also to let them know that they're not alone. Most companies struggle with this, and most employees and team members feel this way. But the good news is that if CEO mastermind groups and other CEOs that I talk to across the country are focusing on this and trying to do better, that means change is on its way. What I want to do right now is talk about both parties involved with this so that we can build trust and increase alignment between leaders and their teams. Build trust and increase alignment between leaders and their teams. So those two statistics, 58% of employees would rather trust a stranger than their boss, and 63% feel that productivity suffers because of the lack of quality communication up, down, and across the organization. It's a two-way street. The good news for team members is their leaders are focusing on it. Today, I want to talk about how both can do that. First, for the leaders, I want you to be cognizant of how significant it is that you make it about them. And we're going to do that a couple of ways. First, we need to do insights, marketing insights, interview, talk to employees and track what they say, talk to team members and find out what they say. This gets you a picture of what they're seeing that's causing them to have less trust or to feel that things aren't aligned or that communication isn't good enough. But the second part of making it about them is focusing on how, when, and where they consume content, because it will be different for each employee, but you'll still be able to get enough trends to see 3 to 5 tactical ways that you can implement your storytelling so that it matches up with how, when, and where those employees consume the content. Another thing that employers need to do, that leaders need to do, and I call it executive storytelling, leaders need to answer the 2 why questions for every storytelling challenge. And most of the problems in an organization, on any team, most of them are related to some degree to communication. Most problems can be solved to some degree with communication or better storytelling. So with each challenge, leaders should answer the 2 why questions. Your why on this particular challenge. Why are we doing what we're doing on this particular challenge? And your customers' why, your team members' why. Why should they behave this way, or why are they doing what they do? Why are they following a certain course of action? What do they want? When you answer the 2 why questions for any challenge that you have at your organization, you can begin to help solve that challenge through leadership communication storytelling. First why, your why on this particular challenge. Why are we where we are? And why are we making this change and requesting the team to change and act differently? Your customers' why as the leader, your customers in this instance are your team members. What's their why? What's their reason for buying from you this idea? And that's what it is. You're selling them an idea to change. What's their reason for buying it? And then the key is to craft a memorable story around that. Craft a memorable story around that, and then begin to tell that story around what they told you their why was, what they told you their concerns were, how, when, and where they consume content. If you're thinking in that way, you've heard from them, you've heard their perspective, you found out how, when, and where most employees consume content at work and as part of the team. You now can talk about your why, how you want to solve this particular problem, what change you require of them. And when you do that in a memorable storytelling way, crafting a story that has anecdotes and analogies that are about them so the team members can relate to the anecdote or analogy, but it's tied back to how, when, and where they consume content. Those are the channels you're going to use. It's tied back to what their concerns are and why they're doing that. So when you do that and craft a memorable story that leverages the tenets of communication, anecdotes and analogies, memorable, make an emotional impact, you as an executive have now done your executive leadership communication, your executive storytelling. Team members, a couple things you need to do. One is you need to be open to ideas. You need to be open to ideas. That's difficult for all of us. Change is a struggle. But a team member that complains and says, I'd rather trust a stranger than my boss, or a team member that complains and says, productivity suffers because of communication, really shouldn't be saying those things if they're not willing to be open to solutions. And I want you to be able to say those things. And if you're open to solutions, and then the second thing you do is listen with intent. Listen actively, not thinking about what you're going to say back or thinking about the cynical story you're going to tell a fellow team member. Be open to change and ideas. Listen with intent to the story that's being told about why this is happening and how it impacts you and how you can help. And the third big one is think beyond yourself. It's actually one of the core values of my company, Mass Solutions, is think. And one of the three tenets of thinking is think beyond yourself. It's think for yourself, think beyond yourself, and think about the possibilities. Well, in this instance, I'm asking you as a team member to hold up your end of the bargain. Be open to ideas and change. Listen with intent and listen actively, not with a plan of what you're going to say back or what you're going to tell your friends after the meeting or email or video you watched. And think beyond yourself. If team members do that, and executives and leaders do the other part that I said about making it about them, making it about the team members, answering the 2 why questions, building a memorable story using anecdotes and analogies that matter to your team members, and telling that story when, where, and how they consume content. If leadership does that, and the team listens, and the team is open, and the team thinks beyond themselves, we can change this 58% would rather trust a stranger than their boss, because storytelling helps build relationships. Relationships build trust. We can change this 63% of employees who say that they think productivity suffers because of the lack of quality communication up, down, and across the organization. We will improve alignment by making it about them, communicating to employees when and where and how they want to. And employees will help by listening, being open to ideas, and thinking beyond themselves. Both of those stats can be changed. Both team members and leaders can gain more satisfaction from work, which we need to do because it's at least a third of our lives. We can grow personally and professionally, and the company can grow. That's what I mentioned to the CEO mastermind group that I had the pleasure of working with today. I'm excited that they're going to apply this, and they were already applying many ways to try to communicate better with their team members. And I'm asking team members to be open to this, to listen, and to think beyond yourself so that you too can hear this message, gain from it, and be better aligned with your team's, your company's goals and missions, and also gain trust with your immediate supervisor and the CEO and the C-suite at your company. Thanks for listening to another episode of the No Bullshit Marketing Show, recorded here in our studios in bold, beautiful downtown Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Remember, ask yourself, what's the big idea? And build your story around the answer. It's all about bold solutions, no BS.